Welcome to your front row seat of Encore. The Encore series is a fan favorite follow-up to conversations started on the Life Possible podcast. Encore highlights interview details and discussion topics that left us curious and wanting more. Without further ado, please welcome back to the stage your Encore hosts, Wendy White-Stevens of the Real Women of Ideal Protein, Dr. John Barnes, and their featured guest.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Wendy White-Stevens, a host of the Encore podcast, which is an extension of the Life Possible podcast hosted by Dr. John Barnes. I am an ideal protein dieter. I lost 125 pounds in 2016, and I now operate and am a wellness coach at the Institute for Metabolic Transformation in North Texas. Excited to be here today. Sometimes in life, the funniest parts are inside jokes. So we have one, and I'm going to go take two on the episode with our guest, Allison Dozar, from the Life Possible podcast, episode number 47 and 48. The sky is not the limit. Before we get any further into Allison's introduction, I'd like to welcome my co-host, Dr. John Barnes.
Wendy!
Hi!
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really pretty good. You know, I'm so excited about this show. I feel like we've already recorded it once. I don't know why, but
we didn't.
Darn it, anyhow. You can't do this more than once. Like, it's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be magic, right? That's what happens every time we hit record.
All right. We're punchy. Yes, I forgot to press record the first time, ladies and gentlemen.
In all fairness, like, we didn't get the whole way through the episode, right?
That's right.
So, I mean, we still don't know Allison's spirit vegetable. Okay. So there's that. Allison is our featured guest today. Like I said, she was featured on Life Possible podcast, 2-part episodes, 47 and 48. The sky's the limit, when one of her clients fulfilled their dreams of jumping out of an airplane after a good portion of her weight loss journey had taken place. I'm super excited to welcome Allison. Come on in, girl.
Let's go.
Hi. Hello, friends. How are you guys?
How are you?
Doing fantastic. I have to say, you two are pretty. You two are quite the pair. That was a great intro.
I think we're all a little punchy. I think we've got all the nerves out. I think that we're feeling
it's going to be fun. Allison, yeah, share. Who's Allison?
Hi. So my name is Allison Dozar. I am a co-founder of MBS Wellness in Longmont, Colorado, with my partner and soul sister, Jennifer Couch. And we are an ideal protein clinic, but we also offer some other healing modalities like coaching behavior change, body composition, education. We do yoga and meditation over here. And then we also do clinical hypnosis to help our clients evolve to their best selves and live their best lives.
I love that. It's so exciting.
It sounds like so much fun.
All of it. It is. To me, I'm like, okay, I need that. I need that. I need that. Right? So much better than a pair of shoes.
Yeah. So we've really tried to create a space for not only us to just love and enjoy what we do and enjoy coming to work every single day, but a safe space for our clients to come to as they're facing challenges and, you know, starting to explore themselves and their own journeys of wellness. So please come by anytime.
Oh, absolutely.
And you'll love this, Wendy. So we are in the beautiful Colorado.
I do like that. Okay, that's I don't have a sewing machine here.
There's a bumper sticker or a shirt that says that I'll have to get you from somewhere.
I will build it.
Colorado.
Have the shirt, okay? So when I was watching episode 47 first,
okay,
it was featuring Jessica and her amazing transformation, but there was so many good, like little golden nuggets in your portion of the episode that I thought, okay, this is a whole nother conversation, right? There's Encore exists because there's always more to the story, right? Mm-hmm. And so I kind of wanted to get some more out of your story. Sure. The first thing that caught my attention in that episode was how you were introduced to Ideal Protein. Mm-hmm. Will you share that with us?
Of course. So I was introduced to Ideal Protein. I think at least what we see in our clinic, mostly how everyone is, right? Like we don't have to spend that much time and energy on marketing, because when people do a protocol like Ideal Protein where it actually works, you hear about it from word of mouth, or you see someone who is just having this fantastic life-changing experience and they tell you all about it. And so that's kind of how I was introduced as well. My mother somewhere between 2010 and 2012, she got on protocol. And when it's funny because, and I mentioned this in the podcast, in the first podcast, my sister said she was just on the pudding diet. And at the time I was an au pair in San Diego, and I worked for a venture capitalist and his son, and I was taking care of them. And the gentleman that I had worked for, he was on something called the cookie diet. Where you literally, he was eating like 3 or 4 cookies a day with something else. So like when she said the pudding diet, I was just thinking like, what is nutrition? What is diet culture coming to?
Right. I've heard of the cabbage diet, but I'd never heard of the cookie. I would have tried that. I would have thought, man, if I'd heard about the cookie diet.
I'll actually have to send you, like, we'll have to Google it, and I'll send you some information just so we can compare it. Like,
100%.
Now I'm more intrigued. But so the pudding diet ended up being Ideal Protein. And what I noticed most about my mother's experience was this was the first thing that actually worked for her. So I grew up in a household, very healthy household. We were all athletic, and, my mom spent most of her life eating healthy, doing the right things. She was very active. She played tennis. She helped and coached sports that we were into growing up. And she also did half marathons. So, she was very healthy. But this was the first time that I had noticed her try something that actually worked for her, where you actually saw change in her body, change in her mind, and just change in her experience. And she was proud of it. So she was proud to talk about it. And so, I was very intrigued, because after years and years of watching her feel okay, this was the first time that I noticed that she was feeling great. She was looking great, and she felt successful, and that's what we all really want, and that was my first introduction to it. And I said, let me learn more.
And I think that I love how you said that. And this is my favorite population. One of my favorite populations to come into the office is, people who are already healthy and fit, right? But they've never been able to reach truly the level they wanted to be at, and everything that they've tried. And, what we were told and what we were taught didn't work. And that was part of my frustration. I studied exercise and nutrition in college, went through chiropractic school. We get another round of it, but it never worked the way I ever wanted it to. And it was a frustration that I had to kind of put on the shelf. This population, when they come in and they get in the protocol and they finally lose that 10 pounds they've never been able to lose, they finally feel amazing with what they eat. It actually does what it's supposed to do. It is mind-blowing for them. And they're so excited because they have spent countless hours in the gym or on the trails or and trying to get their nutrition right. Right? Doing what people said, and it never worked.
Yeah. And I think we can look at that for our clients across the board too. You know, it's when things don't work for so long and we try so hard and we are doing the correct things, we start to settle with the story of, I can't do this.
Right.
You know,
or there's something wrong with me.
There's something wrong with me, or it isn't possible.
Yep.
And I think that's where a lot of that last 10 pounds come through. Not only do we get comfortable where we are in the health continuum, which when we look at the health continuum, we look at illness over here and disease over here. And then we look, you know, good and fair is what we usually shoot for. Like how are you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing fair. There's this whole other side of the spectrum that leads to optimal wellness. And so sometimes we settle in disease because that's challenging and that's tough. That's a tough place to be. But sometimes we also just get stuck in fair or, you know, good enough.
Good enough. Exactly.
Yeah. And so when we have a protocol like this, that allows the sick to get healthy and the fit to get fitter, it's kind of a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something to get really passionate about.
And it just hit me too, because I've got a book over here on the shelf. The title of the book is From Good to Great.
Great.
Right. And I think that kind of hits the wheelhouse from, you know, your mom's experience, from your experience, right? I mean,
definitely.
I'm doing pretty good, but I'd rather get to great and see what that feels like.
Yeah, we don't have to settle just at okay.
Exactly. You know, Allison, you just said in conversation, you know, people going, I'm fair, I'm good. You know what? They don't even admit that if it's fair, they don't even say that, right? It's like, oh, I'm great. You know, like all things considered, I'm great. And it's like, but really? You know what I mean? Like, are you really great? Probably not, you know? You know, with your mom's experience, I love that's how you came into the ideal protein orbit, right? You kind of got the pudding diet shtick, right? Like, what's the truth in all of this? This unbridled, hey, here's exactly what I'm doing. Here's how I'm feeling. You observed the change in your mom, who was middle-aged, I believe, in a previous conversation, menopausal, right?
Yes.
Kind of that there's just a commonality and a pinpoint with women where we feel like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to get back to feeling normal, looking normal, all these things post menopause? You know, it's really kind of, do I lean into kind of what I feel like my new normal be, or can I do anything to accelerate the lifestyle in a way that's going to give me the best last half of my life, right?
Yeah, thanks for saying that, because one thing that was inspiring about my mom's experience that I noticed is, you know, she was going through menopause when she found ideal protein. And there is definitely this before ideal protein body and after ideal protein body. And that has to do with her hormones and also with body composition. But a lot of the times we think our best days are behind us. And she's just like this testament to, no, once you get things kind of figured out, and we don't even have to do the figuring out because we've had this wonderful team behind us that has created this scientific ketogenic, nutritionally ketogenic protocol. You know, they've done that work, that we don't have to settle for, okay, you know, good enough. We can keep moving onward and upward.
Well, and I like the concept too, being a guy looking inside at the woman's world, right? But there's usually a premenopause body and a postmenopause body. Right. And so I think that this kind of blows through the stereotype of what that has to be.
Right.
Right. And I love the fact that it seemed like ideal protein somewhat not only flattened that curve, so to speak, but it changed it dramatically.
Yeah, what I heard you say is that there is usually a premenopausal body and a postmenopausal body. There doesn't have to be. I think that's the real message here, right? Yeah, and in that sentence, we're talking about premenopausal bodies, right? But we can bring that to all these different dimensions of wellness. Like it doesn't have to be. Whatever you're going through right now, like it doesn't have to be that way. Ideal protein in my life has been something that has proved that it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's,
and I love the whole hormonal dimension to it too, because this gets glossed over, and it used to be just the crux of the way that we would talk about this program. But this program is about hormonal balance. It is about restoring hormonal balance, and we specifically work through insulin and glucagon.
Right.
The challenge of it is what people don't understand is the power that insulin has over all the other hormones in the body. And so, we talk about, the hormones in menopause, the hormones in fertility, the hormones in, as we go through that, insulin's dominance and manipulation of those hormones causes all kinds of havoc for women's bodies. And once we get insulin out of the picture and those things have a chance to get back to where they're supposed to be, lots of things are possible. Right?
Yeah. Life is possible. Absolutely. What I love is that, you had your information from a trusted resource. Like I was just saying, for me in 2016, when I was targeting weight loss and trading points again to try and lose some weight, because I was just desperate. I had seen my husband's cousin on social media. She lives in Atlanta, so we're not in the same hood. And she just, like, literally what I noticed about her most was just, she was happy. Her eyes were like shining. And I'm like, how is somebody on a diet and their eyes are sparkling? Right? How does that happen?
Right.
So come May of 2016, I freshly put back on 30 of the 25 pounds I'd lost the first part of the year. I said, what are you up to, Ellie? You just seem so happy about what you're doing, and you look great, right? She was moving more. She was posting about exercise, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we had about the same story. There was 100+ pounds of weight loss that needed to occur. And so I got, the insider info from her before I even looked up Ideal Protein, which I like getting those kinds of leads, because there's already a level of trust that now I can just really speak their circumstance in a different, their ears are just open, right? Their mind is open and their heart is open, whether it's apparent right then or not. Their heart is open too, because this is a big undertaking, right? Personally. There's almost like nothing more personal than this, right? I oftentimes think people would rather me look at their bank ledger than the biometrics sometimes, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look over here. Maybe call your, whatever. But I love when we have new clients come to us and they've got the unbridled story, because it is, the science-based approach is gonna work. John and I have interviewed one of my clients who's fully wheelchair bound. She lost 75 pounds with the science of the protocol. Whether it's a man who's about that menopausal age and won't have that experience, but maybe been put on medications for type 2 diabetes or being pre-diabetic, you don't have to just lean into your wellness as I'm at that age, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
I want to be like, I'm at this age and I am killing it,
Yeah, you can't let that narrative hold you back. You had talked about noticing your cousin feeling really good, and how if someone's on a diet and feels really good, like I want in on that. And we talk a lot to our clients about, they shouldn't, yes, what we're doing is a challenging thing, but if we work with our bodies, and we can do that with a ketogenic protocol, like, you should feel really good. And that was the thing that I had noticed. Not only did Ideal Protein work for my mother after years of trying other things that kept her healthy, but didn't really give her what she was looking for, but I just noticed her engagement in life, and that she was seeing results and she was feeling good while she was seeing results. And you're just able to show up for life differently when you feel good. And that was another thing that really made me interested. Okay, can I feel like she's feeling? If she can do it, anyone can do it. And so can I. We don't have to wait until we're sick to try to improve our wellness.
Right.
And I think in many cases, the level of health that we are in, we've accepted at that point. We don't even know that we don't feel as good as we could, or some people,
definitely.
right? Some people, don't necessarily, hey, I'm doing pretty good. I can do this and I can do that, whatever. And then they get in the protocol and they're like, whoa, like I didn't know I could feel this good. Right.
Yeah. How many times have you guys heard that? Because I know we hear it like at least once a day of, I didn't even realize the contrast.
Yep.
Yeah. I had no idea. Right.
We talk about this changing the possibility of people's lives, right? What's possible. Right. Even the glimpse of that, even one day, and to recognize the contrast of like, okay, this could be my new normal. This could be my new baseline.
Right.
The power in that moment alone, I mean, that's what can really start the transformation.
It absolutely can. And I remember my very moment. Okay. And I'll share it with you.
Please do.
My commute home, I was into the protocol, obviously. And, my commute in Dallas-Fort Worth, it can be obscene. Okay. And so I would get out of work and I'd make my way home. It could be 60 minutes, 75, 90-minute ride home every day. And so, by the time you get home, you're just like, and you've sat in the car that long, it's real hard to kind of get re-energized. Okay. You leave work with all these ambitions, like I'm going to go home and do this and that, whatever. And then hour and a half later, I'm like, just let me put on the news and act like I'm adulting until like dinner and then bed. Right. And so I walked in one day, shut the door, set my laptop bag down, and boom, I went to the kitchen. I made dinner. I folded laundry. I cleaned up the house. And I'm like, this is interesting. Let's see if it happens tomorrow, right? I wasn't sold. I was cautiously optimistic, but it is just kind of, that sustained energy throughout the day was what captivated me first, right? Because I knew how hard life was at 276 pounds with my work obligations, the commute, what I needed to do when I got home, and all of that. And so I remember that moment so vividly. So I'm so glad you said that, because I'd almost kind of forgotten that had happened. But many.
And I think what you just said, like what life was like at 276 pounds. The thing is, you felt that, right? Like after the first week or the first.
Oh, it was probably 2 weeks in. Okay.
2 weeks in. Okay. So now you're 260 pounds. Probably. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so it's not about the weight. And that's kind of one of the things that I also come back to with so many people is it's not about the weight. It's about your metabolism. It's about your metabolic health. It's about what's going on inside. And we can feel better even at that higher weight. Right. And that is the amazing part. You don't have to lose 100 of those pounds to feel so much better. You can feel better in those first couple of weeks and it will blow your mind. Right.
Oh, definitely.
Obvious, right? If there were like just little things, it might not have been so evident to me so soon, but it was just such an obvious contrast that I recognized.
And it's almost like living in black and white and then going to Technicolor.
Okay, so I have to share my moment then, because you took the words out of my mouth. So I remember this, and look, before Idle Protein, I was constantly trying to figure out what was going to work for me. Very similar to my mom, right? Trying different things. I think the problem was when you're using glucose for fuel and you're not eating enough calories, you still have too many carbs to where your body has the metabolic flexibility to kick into ketosis, but you're not getting enough carbs and enough calories to sustain that energy, especially to do the activities that I was choosing to do, like these longer mountain bike rides. So I'll never forget this. The first week on Idle Protein, this had to be, I probably started on a Monday because we all start on a Monday, right? And this was probably the following Saturday's bike ride I was going on. And at first it was challenging, and I was probably exercising way too much for phase one. And I know that now as a coach, but I was exercising too much, but I felt the switch, and it was like in the Wizard of Oz when you go from the black and white into the
Right.
There it is.
And I heard like, this is ridiculous. I don't know if this was a college experience for me, but you used to be able to, and you still can, I'm sure, put the Pink Floyd soundtrack behind, I think it's Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon behind Wizard of Oz. So that is a thing, and you can do it. And when it changes, you can hear the cash register from the song Money.
Okay.
And so in my head, that was like, and still to this day, like I know when I'm in ketosis, I could like hear that cash register.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God, that's so amazing.
Forgive me. That's the musician in me coming out.
That's amazing.
Representation, right?
It goes really, life in ketosis goes from black and white to technicolor. And so going back to my mom, and that's what I noticed. I'm like, okay, something's different. Something's different. Yeah. I want in. And so that's when I decided in 2013 was to get involved with Idle Protein for the first time as a dieter.
Yeah.
And I had a really great experience. I was able to lift that sugar veil. Everything about my health and wellness just took a step up. Yeah. And it also really, now that I'm looking back, I mean, thinking about what I do now for a living, loving my job, loving to be able to support people through this journey. But y'all, how good does it feel to sell something? Like, in order to survive, we've got to make money, right? And so you got to sell things. But to sell something you believe in because you know it works and you know it helps people, like to me, that's winning, you know?
Yeah.
That's the dream, right?
That's the dream. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes. And I tell everybody too, this is the best health and fitness dollar you'll ever spend.
Yeah.
Think about how much money you wasted in those years before trying all the things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, ridiculous. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I totally agree.
Right.
Absolutely. With the science-based approach, it's predictable, repeatable, and everybody can have this experience. Yes, you too can have this experience, right? It's not, it's not reserved for anyone in particular, FYI, right?
Right.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And it's very personalized. I think having a coach and being able to meet with some one-on-one weekly is, you know, the science part takes care of itself, and we will gain that metabolic flexibility through this program and how it's written. And then the second piece of that, having the coach to go into this journey with and dig a little deeper and troubleshoot with you. It can be, this is such a personalized experience for being a one size fits all.
Right.
Right.
You know,
and that's part of the value in the coaching. And I mean, you can customize it the whole way. Like you stick to the sheet, obviously in phase 1, but the customization comes in with education as appropriate, organically bringing in value with conversation as it relates to Allison in particular, not, you know, open your app and click yes. And if you click yes, you get this. If you click no, you're directed to this question, whatever. And I think that's really what the phase 1 experience with a one-to-one coaching offers anyone the best chance at ever getting this right for the long term, because we do have all those opportunities aside from overcoming challenges and building a foundation for navigating the same challenges and maintenance. It's just the whole experience, the education, like you said, the one-on-one customization down to moving out of phase 1, the weight loss phase, and into stabilization with presenting macro targets and working out your macro code. Like that's not just Allison female 5'5", right?
Right.
It's Allison Dozar. What does she need with her lifestyle to move into the lifestyle building piece of the first 12 months of maintenance, right?
Yeah. I love that you said lifestyle, because it's not just body type, or it truly like fits to the lifestyle of the person.
It has to.
It has to.
Yeah, 100%. And again, it speaks to individuals' goals and dreams in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I heard Dr. Sarah Gottfried once said about metabolism. You know, people are like, oh, metabolism. Whatever. Metabolism fuels your hopes and dreams. It fuels it's what gives you the energy to go after, achieve, and accomplish what it is you want to do in life. And that's what this program gives you that you're not going to get from any other program.
Yeah,
no,
it is truly.
And that's what we call life possible, right?
We sure thing.
Right.
That's why we call it Life Possible. You know, with the guest that you featured on the Life Possible podcast episode 47 and 48, Jessica, you know, she was still on her weight loss journey at the time that she achieved I think her biggest, long-standing dream that she never thought she would. And that was jumping out of an airplane. Okay. So think about the dream that's highest on your list, the one that you don't think you're ever going to make it to. And then all of a sudden, one day, because you made it through Tuesday and you made it through Wednesday and you made it through Thursday and Friday, and you're on the mountain taking your first bike ride 6 days in, like you make it through all those days, and all of a sudden life was going to happen anyways. You're like checking off the highest dream on your list. And so what's it time for?
It's time for what's on the other side of that dream. And that's when the possibilities really do open up, because you can't, once you have an experience, you can't unknow what that feels like.
Right.
And life possible, you know.
You have a baseline, like shaking off all of the things that we've just allowed to accumulate in our health over the course of decades in some cases, right? It's like if I had just woken up the day before I started Ideal Protein at 276 from like standardly 140, I would have been panic stricken, right? I'd have been like, oh my gosh, Chad, take me to the hospital. I am definitely going to die, right? I'm going to die today. And you move forward and it's like, okay, I get to have this experience. And I know that some of those aches and pains and maybe medications my doctor was wanting to prescribe to me for a pre-diabetic status on my last physical actually doesn't have to be my story. And this isn't an age thing, right? We have an incredibly new, solid, true, based in science baseline for how good could I really feel at this age? Like, what's the truth? And like you said, you cannot unknow that. And that is an irreplaceable, priceless, dead center pinpoint for when things aren't going well in the future with the way you may be feeling, your health and wellness, you're going to know, right?
Most definitely.
Whether you want to know it or not, you're going to know. And you go, okay, what's not going right? What tools are in my kit? I'm getting back to my macro code because I want to feel just incredible. I want to be powering life possible every day.
Can I get an amen?
I was just going to say that. Amen.
Girl. Can I get it?
Allison, you had your phase 1 experience. And I'm always curious, you know, now that for me, I feel like I'm 7 years into my wellness being a priority. Okay. And I still have so much to learn. That's what I know. If I've learned anything, there's still so much to learn.
Always to learn. Yep.
But I'm so thankful for where I'm at. And so part of me trying to figure out what else would be beneficial or what should I remove is hearing what works for other people. Like, what do you find helps you sustain your wellness in the long term? What are your foundational best practices?
Sure. So before I answer that question, and I just want to say, because this just totally popped in my head, is, you know, when I think of my success story from doing Ideal Protein the first time in 2013, yes, I think about where it led me in wellness, but man, I just want to point out where it led me in life. Like I now, and this won't be everyone's journey, but I now own a business that helps people through the protocol that helped me. And you know, and talk about like dream big. If you would have asked me in 2013 if I thought that I would be doing the things that I'm doing now and helping people to the extent and the depth that I'm helping people now. Gosh, I just want to tell everyone out there, like, you could do whatever you want, you know, and whatever you're thinking that you might want to do, just do it. Just try it, because you just never know whether that's something, a life decision or a wellness decision or just anything. Just know that, like, try it on, see if it fits, see what it feels like, see if it offers you an experience that you can't unsee, and then start to operate from that place instead of where you are now, because you can do it. Okay.
I think if anybody can say that, or if anybody can believe anybody that says that, it's you, it's your life. And it's been so much fun since we've been friends, watching you on Facebook and watching how you live your life, because truly that is how you live. And it's very powerful.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, you know, that is a really good segue into, we talk about lifestyle components of my long-term health. And I have to say, it's so important to me to start with mindset. So finding some type of practice, and the practice has to work for you. I'll share what I'm going to do, but I think it's really important that we recognize that we all have our own journeys. So maybe consistency is more important, but whatever you find works for you, that would probably be better than, you know, we can be inspired by each other, but I'll just share what works for me is definitely a strong gratitude practice. And that could be just writing in a gratitude journal, or it could be something like super simple, 3 deep breaths of what I'm thankful for that morning. And sometimes it's just for getting out of bed, and that's okay, you know, but taking the time to set an intention. And so we have something to focus on, because we can focus on things that are maybe not going so well, and that will drain a lot of energy out of us, or we can focus on just a few things that we're grateful for and let that gratitude kind of expand. And then we're operating from that space. And another thing is, this is huge, is getting comfortable. And I've learned this through physical activity and also through some mental exercises. Owning a business is one of them. Just getting really comfortable in challenging situations and living outside of your comfort zone, and recognizing that the real gold nuggets, the real wisdom usually comes from failure and not so much for success. And we all want to win and we all want to feel successful, but there's so much data to be gathered from failure and disappointments and things not working out, that, you know, it's almost more beneficial to fail than it is to win. So finding a way to get comfortable in situations that are uncomfortable. So that's something that I do take time every single day. And sometimes it's just sitting in my car in the parking lot in front of our business. And sometimes it's something a little more ceremonious than that, but spending time to work on mindset and remembering that everything is a practice. So the more we do something, the more comfortable it becomes. And then you start to look at life in a way of, you know, when things happen that aren't so great, it's not toxic positivity. It's not just pretending that bad things don't happen, but it's looking through a lens of, what can I learn from this? What is this trying to teach me? How can I do differently? And gosh, I have to just share this story because it's like my story. There is, and I'll keep it really short, but have you guys heard of the story of the Chinese farmer?
No.
Okay. It's a philosopher, Alan Watts tells this. It's a story of the Chinese farmer. And this is really the space I try to live my life from. So there was a Chinese farmer. He had 2 horses, and then his son came home from traveling, and his son came in and he left the gate open, and the horses left the house when the gate was open. And so all the neighbors came over and they said, "Oh, this is such bad luck. How unfortunate is this? You know, this is terrible news." And the Chinese farmer says, "Perhaps." So they go to bed that night. The next morning they wake up. There's 7 horses now where there were only 2 because the other 2 horses found wild horses and they followed them back. So all the village comes over and says, "Oh my God, you guys are so lucky. This is so fantastic, so fortunate." And the farmer says, "Perhaps." Well, then his son goes out to break the new horses, to get them ready to be work horses. And the son falls while breaking the horses and he breaks his back and his leg. The neighbors come over, bring some food. "I'm so sorrowful for your misfortune. This is such bad luck. You know, terrible that this happened." And the farmer again says, "Perhaps." So the next day, the military is coming around and they're gathering soldiers for war. And they come, and the farmer's son can't go because he has this broken leg and his broken back. And, you know, there's a big celebration because all the village people come over to the house and say, "How fantastic. You guys are the luckiest people." You know, before fight. And the farmer, of course, says, "Perhaps." So we just never know when things in life that happen to us, if we can remain neutral and kind of just give it the best we have, and know that sometimes the best we have is going to be 120%. And that's fantastic. But sometimes the best we have is going to be 20%. But if we know that we're given the best that we have, we never know where certain losses can take us or certain wins can take us. And so I just had to share that story because it's one of my favorite stories. And so first of all, thanks for following along in this crazy thing that I, call life. And secondly, thanks for noticing that it's a good time when you have a good mindset. Mindset is everything. A couple of other things that I do is basically stay moving. Movement is medicine for me. I really try to practice yoga a couple times a week, and that's really to get me into my body, connect. MBS Wellness, by the way, MBS stands for mind, body, and spirit. So I think it's important that we take time each day to connect those things, let them communicate, listen to our own wisdom, our own, we use our mind a lot to think, maybe too much, but if we can tap into our body and give ourselves the permission to feel things, we can really get our mind, our bodies, and our spirits working together. I think that we can experience a lot less suffering in life and keep moving forward and live in our purpose as well. So keeping things moving, I think, is something that I've learned from a really young age to practice. And whether that's, endorphins that fuel me or, I don't know, it's been something that has saved me more times than not in life, is staying connected to my body and letting movement be medicine.
I love that. Mindset is everything. And through my experience with my own wellness journey, the trials and the tribulations, not so much like the triumphs, I think just being here today is a triumph, right? I'm still standing, right? And that in and of itself, I think I can find a lot of gratitude in. But in all that I've learned in the last 7 years with my wellness, I didn't realize how disconnected my conscious mind became from the center of my heart, right? I feel like, life can be such a struggle. And even at 276 pounds, I was a different person. My heart was the same, but I know my behaviors, my outlook, my responses to any level of engagement, whether it was professional, personal, community, whatever, I see how there's been a shift in that dynamic And I think it was most aptly said in a podcast that Dr. Barnes shared with me last year at some point. Living your metabolic health allows you to live your passion, right? When you're metabolically healthy, you live your passion. And I would have never intentionally wanted to live a life void of passion for whatever that means for somebody. But knowing who I am today and how much more connected my mind or mindset is with my heart and my passions across all pillars of wellness, I couldn't have asked for a better gift from the protocol, right? I couldn't have imagined. I thought that I had this concept of being so overweight that my problem was my weight, right? It was a byproduct of issues. I think that my fuel sources and fuel choices kept me down in a way that I couldn't have ever recognized had I not had a phase 1 experience. And so when I am talking with someone who's nervous because they care so much about their health and wellness and embarking on an ideal protein journey, and they want to know, like, give me the inside scoop, what's the hardest part? And I say mindset.
Yeah.
You know, like, mindset is the hardest part, because if you're ready and your mind is in the right place, you've got your phase 1 cheat sheet. Let's do it. Right? If your mindset is off, to whatever degree it's off, that's the struggles that you're going to see in phase 1. Right?
Right.
Most definitely. Well, so I smile when you say that, only because, like, that's why we brought clinical hypnosis into our practice. And mindset is so tough, guys, because we think like 90% of the same thoughts every single day. And so we think just because we sign up, okay, we're going to do this diet and someone's going to tell us exactly what to do, that if we're thinking the same thoughts and living the same story that we've been living to get us to where we are now and wanting to change that, then we're going to have to change the thoughts. Right? And all of our thinking comes from the subconscious mind. And so, that is the trickiest part, because those patterns run so deep.
Yeah. Eat all the pudding you want. It might get you where you want to be physically, but that mental piece is critical, right? Yeah, absolutely critical. So I love that you highlight that as a foundational component of your long-term wellness. I fully believe that now. There's so much I believe today that just through the pursuit of wellness, I would have previously thought, no, that's not true.
And that kind of goes back to what we're saying, as once you start to experience things, and maybe ideal protein is that initial experience that connects you to your body, and you start to say, oh, well, that was possible. So how could this be possible? And like, see where you are today, 7 years later, like, you're living proof of kind of how this unravels you into the person that you want to be, to live your purpose, you know? And that's the kind of cycle I'm trying to be stuck in. Give me a cycle that's going to put me into my purpose, and then, you know, help my metabolic health push me into my purpose, which is going to push me deeper into good metabolic health, which is going to push me into my purpose. Like, that's a cycle I'll sign up for.
Right. I'll be a cyclist.
But again, like you said, it spills over into every aspect of your life. Yeah. And it gives you the confidence to get outside that comfort zone and maybe to try things you've always wanted to try, but didn't feel comfortable doing that. And again, I love this graphic. I love the fact that you perform music and you do yoga wherever you are, wherever you stand, wherever you may be.
In the middle of the road.
In the middle of a 2-lane road on the double yellow line. But that's kind of the thing, right? It spills over into every aspect of your life, whether it is your career, whether it is a desire to play a musical instrument in front of others, whether it is, you know, whatever that is, it just gives you that extra confidence. Hey, I accomplished this and I never thought I could. What else can I do?
Most definitely.
Exactly. Stay curious, because you can blow your own mind.
You definitely can. And I think it's important to say one of my favorite notions is being brave doesn't mean that you're not scared. Being courageous doesn't mean that you're not scared. A lot of things feel scary and we're scared to protect ourselves, but you can still do things scared. And that's how you just keep building on that foundation. And that's how you keep building confidence, is you try things outside of your comfort zone that weren't necessarily the most fun. But you've learned what's on the other side of that fear. Yep. And then once you start having those experiences and really paying attention to them, and that's another thing that's, I talked about mindset and gratitude and getting outside of your comfort zone. But man, it's important to cultivate some type of awareness practice too, because once you start seeing these things happening and you're aware of, that's how you build the confidence, because you're aware. Look, I was scared then, and I did the scary thing, and I'm still alive, right? And you don't have to jump out of a plane to prove that.
Right. It's a great example, right? It's a great example.
It's an extreme example. And I will say now a little further into my journey, I'm learning that it doesn't have to be that extreme, That's kind of a juvenile way to look at things. And that taught me some great things too. But the real proof in the pudding is I was scared and I did it, and I'm still here. So that means the next thing that's scary, I can put effort into as well and see what the outcome is. And maybe the outcome might be something that is, not desired, but where if you keep going and keep moving, what's the next thing, Where's that not outcome going to take you to?
And I think what you were getting at is courage is not the absence of fear. It's having the fear, but doing it anyway.
Yeah. Right? Put that on a bumper sticker, John.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And a t-shirt and all kinds of things. And that's not me. That's one of my mentors. That is one of those things that I've tucked away. Yep.
Yeah. I've tucked it away too. I think it's really important.
I literally listened to that in a sermon the morning before my Ironman. And it was kind of like when you're looking for that thing that's going to get you through, because that took a few moments of courage.
Right. Well, it makes sense. And it kind of goes back to what we were saying about settling, right?
Right.
Like that is settling for, okay, this is scary and I can't do it because I don't have enough courage. And so if you accept that truth, you will never move past it.
Right.
You'll never move past it.
Yep.
And you'll never see what's on the other side of it. And so, yeah, that's important. And again, I think this is, well, I'll let you drive this. You drive this train.
That's a lot of pressure. So my thoughts right now are, okay, we hadn't even said the A word before, but awareness, I love it, right?
Most definitely.
That has served me so well, just being aware, because the more I become aware, the more I realize how unaware I was before, right? It's kind of circular. And now I'm thankful that I'm aware. Like when I kind of I call it like the hide and seek feeling, you're like excited to be there, but kind of scared. And there's all these emotions. And when you're playing hide and seek, right? Whether you're the one seeking or you're the one hiding. So it's like, I know, like if I get that hide and seek feeling, like I'm onto something good, right? And I want to go, I don't want to hide from that feeling. I want to seek out, like, what is this? Where is this taking me? Right? Yeah. I don't want to say no. I want to say yes.
Good. I think that's the healthiest place to be. It sounds like it makes you so curious.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I'm curious about something else, Allison.
Okay. Hit me with it, girl.
I'm curious to know, what is your spirit vegetable?
All right. So I thought about this. And at first, I just want to thank you for asking this question.
You're welcome.
Because, yeah, we need more questions like this that make us just like, I was like, first of all, I was thinking of the vegetables and I just came up with like a few. And I was like, okay, I need to expand my vegetable list right now. Like I've gotten way too I've gotten way too comfortable in phase 1 vegetables.
You were aware.
Right? So I did a meditation, and what came to me, and it's beautiful. And it's beautiful. Yeah. And I'm sorry, y'all, I'm a poetic person. So there's poetry in this. There's poetry in this.
Lay your passion on it.
It is an artichoke. An artichoke is my spirit vegetable. And I'll tell you why. Because I feel like an artichoke kind of represents all of our journeys to the self. And so you have this really tender heart that's in the middle. And that's what we're trying to get to, right? That's the most important part. And then it's surrounded by these really tough leaves that are kind of spiky, right? And I was thinking about eating an artichoke, and I'm from South Louisiana. So like I've had some really good stuffed artichokes, right? Yeah. And so first of all, you have to be methodical of how you can't just go in for like the middle piece, right? Like there's a process to get to the center. And then with every leaf you pull through your teeth. And so I don't know, I was just thinking of like, and you get a little piece of that heart. You don't get a lot of it, but you get a taste of it. Yeah. And so through the journey to the self and through our wellness journey, I just think of like all of these hard layers coming off, and like there's just this piece of heart, and you just get more hungry for that center. Yeah. The deeper you go, and you get a little bit more and a little bit more. And so, yeah, it just felt like such a great analogy for life and for the journey to the center, which I think is, if we live life from our hearts. You were talking earlier about brain and heart coherence. You can't go wrong there. You know, there's this authenticity there. There's that's where the truth lies. That's going to give us the fuel to make tough decisions, to keep moving forward when things get really hard, and to live from a place that's that we're going to be okay with, you know? Yeah. So there you guys have it. Also, some fun facts about artichokes, because that was the second thing that was the second thing that happened. Once I picked the artichoke, I'm like, man, I need to learn a little bit more about artichokes. First, I thought it was really interesting. So in some cultures, they're called the pine cone sunflower, which totally makes sense.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And it's perfect for you.
Right. Sunflowers are totally my thing. And I had a client who she grows microgreens. And one day we were just talking about microgreens, and just randomly, she told me this fact that when they sprout sunflowers and sunflower sprouts, they put something heavy. So they'll sprout them. And once they start to sprout, they'll put like cardboard, and then they'll put bricks or something heavy, because the weight and the pressure allows the sunflowers to grow stronger. Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, I love this. I'm going to use this. Okay.
Those are good fun facts.
Isn't that great? One more thing is, like, I don't know if you guys have seen how beautiful it's part of like the thistle family. And so it blooms this like beautiful purple thistle flower. That's just fantastic. And this is the coolest one. I don't know if you guys know this, y'all. It's the second highest vegetable for antioxidants.
Oh, really?
Wow. Who knew?
Who would have thought, right? It's 8,000 mgs total in a cup.
That is awesome.
So anyway, there's our fun facts for the day. Maybe that deserves the pew, pew, pew.
Oh, like, you know what?
So more fun fact about the artichoke.
Tell me, girl.
I think that definitely is your spirit vegetable. Okay. There's one other person that picked their spirit vegetable to be an artichoke. It was the first person I ever asked this question to.
No way.
And that person is none other than Dr. Tran.
Beautiful. I can believe
Wow.
that after reading Dr. Tran's book and understanding and witnessing what do I want to call it? The essence, like his essence, and what he brings to this glucose control protocol, right?
Right.
I believe it. It's from the heart. At the heart of this company is helping people and changing the world through nutrition, but then also through self-love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
From the heart.
Yes, right.
Oh, now I would love to see why he said it was his.
So he said it was because the heart is the best part. Okay. When we were rereading his book earlier this year, something that jumped out of the page to me, I think for a couple of reasons. The two reasons would be my own wellness journey and all of, the hills and valleys of that.
Of course.
But also my own experience as an Ideal Protein coach, right? How many times he used the word compassion in the book. And I'm like, okay, I need to get my water enhancer. And every time he says the word compassion, boom, I'm chugging some water enhancer, right? There was so many times. And I thought, I was like, okay, it allowed me to consciously make sure I was taking a heart-centered approach.
Yes.
And
you have to take the heart-centered approach as a coach, right?
Yep.
Like that's just common knowledge. What I think is so important is that you have to take a heart-centered approach as the dieter.
Yeah.
Like anytime that we want to implement change in our lives, we do it from this place that is it involves so much shame, right? Like, let me just try to white knuckle through this. Let me just try to restrict so much. Maybe that's going to work. And maybe that's
more combative almost,
Most definitely. It's not until we start to operate from that place of compassion and self-love that we'll even think that we're worthy of the change that we think needs to be made.
There it is.
We can break
and that's when he's talking about your head and your heart need to be aligned in order to be successful, right? Which brings me to something a little bit earlier. You said the H word.
Yeah, what was that? Health?
First time that I've heard the H word on the show, and that would be hypnotherapy. I wanted to touch on that briefly, and the fact that you are now incorporating that into MBS, because I'm fascinated by this.
Sure, I would love to share. So Jen and I are both certified in clinical hypnotherapy. And so what we do in clinical hypnotherapy is we just mix deep relaxation with deep focus. And what that allows us to do is shut down kind of the same parts of our brains that shut down in meditation. And it offers a cognitive flexibility that allows us to look at ourselves in a way of non-judgment and kind of assess what some of our beliefs are, whether they're good beliefs or limiting beliefs that are holding us back. And then look at that through this strong, wise adult lens that we have as adults and create new neural pathways to correct some of those beliefs so we can get past some of those obstacles. And it has been such a beautiful journey to see this really be a game changer in behavior change with our dieters and really within ourselves. It's such a potent healing modality and it's non-invasive, and we've been loving it.
It seems to me too, like you were just talking about, kind of that it really would be a great tool to change the narrative in your head and take someone back to a place of where they could have self-love.
Most definitely.
And it also sounds to me like a really in-depth topic and conversation that maybe we should have on a podcast. What do you think?
I think we should do it. Let's do it, John.
I think we should do it too. I think that we should dedicate an entire Life Possible podcast to the concept of hypnotherapy, because I think there's a lot of misconception about it. I think that a lot of people think, you know, do you have one of those watches that you hold in front of someone and you're getting very sleepy, right? No, I think that it would be great, as you once told me or once tried to explain it to me, because, you know, I like the sciencey stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's literally just changing neural pathways, right?
Of course. Yeah.
It's shutting down one neural highway and trying to open another. And I'm
I would love the chance to explain the process, and I would love just to have the space and the time to demystify hypnotism. There's so much science behind it. Again, I just have to say, like, it's such a non-invasive practice. And what we're really doing is just getting the nervous system to a level where we can accept ourselves and we can really give ourselves a different perspective of truths we've created for that might have served us for a very short time in our lives, or maybe it served us for a long time, but they are no longer serving us. And so we can get there pretty easily. I love to describe it as just this huge soul hug. So and I'll be quick about this, so that we can really dive into it for the episode.
Yes.
But I just want to say this was the missing link. When we started MBS Wellness, we had the mind and the body piece, right? We had this beautiful piece for the body, but we were missing this one piece. And, you know, of course I chose an artichoke for my spirit vegetable, because like that piece, and you were talking about it earlier, Wendy, is the heart.
Yeah.
And what we're not talking about our physical heart that's pumping blood, right? We're talking about like that spirit piece, that soul piece. And when we look at ourselves holistically, in order for real behavior change and lifestyle change and transformation to occur, like we have to look at it holistically, you know? And we have to pay attention to this intelligence and this deeper part, this knowing inside of us. I heard it today explained, and I thought this was so cool, as transformation. So like TRANSFORMATION, right?
Oh no.
Again, all these intersections.
Okay. And because we're putting ourselves into a trance-like state, which is an extremely, extremely natural state. We go in and out of a hypnotic state all the time. So yes, I will take you up on that. I would love to.
I was going to say, shh, don't say any more. We got to keep it for the show.
Let's do it.
Awesome. I love that. So there's always more to the story. Okay.
Always more.
Always more to the story. And I love, like, for me, like, just kind of taking it down, like landing the plane, right? Like Dr. Barnes said, like, why wouldn't cognitive flexibility just be a natural and necessary component to metabolic flexibility, right? That to me is like the whole package, like the science, the humanity, like here we go again, right? This has been a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
Yes, it has.
I'm so glad.
Always pleasure.
Yes, I love it so much. You'll probably be back again on Encore, because again, there's always more to the story after you and Dr. Barnes do a Life Possible podcast episode with clinical hypnosis. For everybody tuning in, be sure to like, follow, share the Real Women of Ideal Protein. Check out MBS Wellness in Longmont, Colorado. They have a great social media presence. As always, the Life Possible podcast hosted by Dr. John Barnes of Reset Wellness in Centerville, Virginia. We love what we do, and you can love it too.
And we love who we do it with.
Exactly.
And y'all, because I'm going to be saying y'all now for the whole afternoon after spending so much time with y'all, but y'all know that it was better the second time around.
Oh.